teaches over polygraph testing. Polygraph testing is commonly known as a lie detector test today, and what it does is it involves measuring your heart rate, blood pressure, skin conductivity, which would be like sweat or perspiration, and your breathing. There are two questioning techniques involved with polygraph testing. The most common one is the control question test, and then there's also the guilty knowledge test. The control question test is where the subject is asked they're asked relevant questions and then they're asked control questions. The relevant questions pertain to the offense being investigated, but they don't pertain to the subject's past, while the control questions pertain to the offense or the crime being investigated, but they don't pertain to the subject's past. The guilty knowledge test is a multiple choice test, and the idea of the test, or the goal of the test, is that the subject will only know the answer if they're guilty. And then there are two experiments that I researched about this, and the first one was done at the University of Utah, and what it did was it simulated a mock crime where subjects were divided up into two different groups, one group being defined as innocent and the other one guilty. Then there were three feedback categories given to these groups. There was the positive feedback group, negative feedback group, and then the third group, which the positive group was told that their results were effective. The negative feedback group were told that the machine malfunctioned and it didn't work, and then the third group didn't receive any feedback. The test that they used the control questioning technique with the relevant questions and the control questions. And then the results of the experiment was that 53% of the subjects were identified accurately, 12% were identified inaccurately.
2 minutes.
And 35% of the results were considered inconclusive, so they didn't know if they were accurate or inaccurate. Oh yeah. And then the second experiment I looked up was headed by a guy known as Professor David C. Raskin, and then another guy known as John Podlesny. There were 20 subjects in this experiment, and they were also classified into two groups, one being guilty and then innocent. 10 were in the innocent and 10 were in guilty. They were given 5 questions that each had 6 different options for answers, and the results that they got from the tests were that 90% were accurate and 10% were inaccurate. The problem with polygraph testing is that it assumes that anybody who's lying is going to have an elevated heart rate, or they're going to have more rapid breathing, they're going to begin to sweat, and their blood pressure will rise. But there could be people who are lying but don't have those symptoms, or there could be people who are just naturally have an elevated heart rate or blood pressure, but they're telling the truth. And so then in conclusion, I consider polygraph testing to be known as a pseudoscience because the experiments provided no evidence that polygraph testing is a reliable technique, and then also the problem with it was that it assumed everybody would have those symptoms when it's not known if that's the case or not. And these are my citations.